So the Xbox Insider site, the blogger Paul Thurrott, who came to find out strangely, has blocked me on Twitter for reasons I could not possibly imagine.
Doesn't like your shirts?
I guess not.
What a jerk.
It's all good, though.
Yeah.
It's
He
fine.
does not want to coexist.
He does not.
With us. Ryan specifically.
Their own. Anyway, I got no...
I've also blocked you on Twitter, to be fair.
Wait, you've had no engagement with this guy?
I don't ever remember speaking with him in real life or otherwise, or the internet. So anyway,
I'm trying to think of what wildly offensive thing Ryan could have tweeted that this guy just saw and was like,
you know what
this guy.
You know what I'll bet it was? I'll bet at like some point somebody probably tweeted me like one of his rumors and tagged him in it, and I probably said, I don't believe that. And I'll bet that's what it was.
Yeah.
And he was like, F you, I'm an insider. I know what I'm talking about. And you know what? He was probably right in the end because my predictions are wrong most of the time. So anyway, I got no beef with Paul Thurrott if he's out there listening.
Beef squashed.
Beef squashed. Which is the best kind of beef. Mm-hmm. It's, a little
delicious.
Little side of cream corn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on food again.
Yeah, very hungry.
Going to lunch right
they don't
after
feed
this.
us.
Yeah.
So
It is Bagel Wednesday.
Mr. Thurrott on his site has a new rumor written by one of his staffers, Brad Sam, saying, based on sources inside the company, expect to see new hardware at the event, meaning the E3 press conference. And there will also be a new standard controller that ships with the Xbox One. The new standard controller will look similar to the current design, which isn't too surprising, but will likely come in a new color. This isn't, there's not a lot of detail here, but I guess the rumor winds are blowing, and they're...
I mean, we predicted Xbox Slim a million times.
Right.
So yeah, that's what you guys have all predicted. I kind of read this as like, this is just hot off the heels of the PS4.5
The Neo
thing. Like, that's kind of what I assumed they were talking about.
Yeah, we've
Xbox
talked
1.5.
about that too with the stuff Phil said at the
showcase.
The showcase, a couple months ago. The thing that gets me excited here is if a new controller comes out that has a headphone port in it.
It does.
So
the new ones do.
I was actually going to say this.
You don't need the adapter anymore.
Well, I'm going to steal one of those.
I didn't know this because I was talking again to my Destiny.
You got to rock an Elite, my friend. It's it's literally the best gamepad I've ever used in my life.
I was talking to my Destiny Fire team about this, and I was like, because I was having issues with my headset, with my Astro A40s, the mic cable was like dying and broken, so I had to switch to a Turtle Beach one, and I was like, I don't have the right adapter, and they were like, you don't need an adapter, and I was like, looking at the controller, I'm like, yeah, you do. There's no other way to plug it in. And it turns out they've been shipping new controllers with the new consoles that don't have that adapter port anymore.
I'm going to sneak in on the weekend and replace my old one with someone's new one.
Yeah.
You totally should.
Just
won't be
make sure
There'll be no one in this room.
Destin.
It'll be Destin. Destin will come back from China, just an enraged monster.
Yeah, and I would presume that this means a new standard controller, not because I can't imagine they're going to start throwing the Elite in with every single box.
Yeah.
The Elite
Although that would be awesome.
I mean, no joke. I really think the Elite's the single best game controller ever made.
I don't like all the... You can
take
feel
them off
so much.
You can take them off.
You can still feel indents. Like, I feel like you can feel it all the time, and I don't want to be able to feel it. But the reason that I've always preferred...
Lana doesn't want to feel things. She just wants to be dead inside.
Exactly. the reason that I choose, like, if I get a code, I will always choose Xbox over PlayStation, despite liking both consoles, is because I prefer the controller.
Yeah.
And it has been like that forever.
The
internet tells me it's because I'm a blind Xbox fanboy.
That too.
But I really like the controller too.
The popular theory in response to this rumor is, I wonder if they'll put, a Kinect microphone in the controller so that you can do voice commands. Because since Kinect has been left for dead, it has been been dumped in the.
Left 4 Dead 3.
They threw it in a trunk and drove it out to the river and tied concrete cinder blocks to its ankles and threw it in the river.
I mean, there hasn't been anything announced for it in a pretty long There hasn't been anything announced for it in a pretty long time.
And there won't be.
There will not be.
Which is, I really like it.
It's a great interface navigation device. That's what it's awesome for.
Yeah. Still use it all the time.
Every time I'm watching like HBO Go or anytime I'm watching things, which is all the time on my Xbox, and it's like, I need to let the dog out or take like Xbox pause.
I think I've mentioned this before, but I left mine with my parents because they had started using my Xbox One as a media player and they didn't know how to navigate. Like they didn't know how to use a controller. They didn't know how to navigate that kind of interface, so they had to use Kinect, and effectively were completely using a Kinect and an Xbox One like through Netflix and all of their media stuff just because they could talk to it. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is
totally
awesome.
So, controller being whatever it's going to be, I would love it to be a controller with a mic built in. I think that would be
awesome.
that would be great. What do you guys think of new hardware? Is it gonna be? I know we touched on this last week, but is it the Slim? Because we talked about last week how if it's just the Slim, would that disappoint people?
Yes.
At this point, after all these Neo rumors?
Yes.
But do you guys think they're going to trot out an upgrade, a legitimate upgrade?
I mean, it's a little bit.
I really hope not.
It's a little
We've
bit
talked
more
about this.
Again, the
interesting.
Slim had upgrades though, and then it had Wi-Fi built in.
Yeah, but, I'm talking
about,
performance upgrades.
Specifically, and not hard drive, because
no.
that's not really performance. Like GPU, CPU. I'm not on board with that. I don't like the idea of upgradable consoles. Like, we talked about this, I don't know, a couple episodes ago. I just don't think that it actually... I think it alienates a big part of your audience when you do that. And plus, it sets a dangerous precedent for games in the long run, right? Like, if the difference between performance of a new upgraded Xbox 1.5 and the original Xbox 1.5 is the difference between what The Last of Us on PS3 looks like versus on PS4, that's a big enough, significant enough upgrade to where, as a hardcore gamer, I'm going to feel coerced to buy another console when I've already spent $500 on the first one.
Let's set that aside for a minute, since we have already kind of gone into it, and just, do you think upgraded hardware is coming at E3?
No.
Marty?
Yes, especially since NX is officially not going to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm still on the fence. I really could see it. Phil's been keeping his cards close to the chest on
They
this
have
one.
to compete with
For
PS4
for clarity,
somehow.
I don't think that a Slim
Yeah.
counts as
I also don't.
neither do
new
I.
upgraded
No.
hardware.
CPU,
Yeah.
GPU, just
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've got to have something. Otherwise, they risk losing all of the mind share that they've worked so hard to get back.
Yeah, from that
ever
first
since
E3.
Phil took over. The on the fly rebuild of this console and this platform that Phil Spencer has done and his team have done such a great job on. If they don't show anything, I think they risk. I don't know. Maybe and again, you said it, Sean. They're smarter than we are.
Yeah,
They
I
see
don't
the
know.
whole field. And maybe that's not. They don't even care. They have just other plans. But from my point of view, down here as the little ant on the ground, it seems to me that they risk losing those hardcore fans that they've worked so hard to win back
I'm
if they don't
totally
show
looking
anything.
at this from a competition perspective, where I see
Yeah.
it as like Microsoft get in a meeting room and they're like, what will people say if the PS4 can do this or run in 4K and we have nothing but a Slim? Like,
Well, I hope
just
they're
see
having
that
that
as
me-
like,
I mean,
that
yeah,
makes them
you would
look
hope they're-
terrible in terms of marketing.
Right.
That's the reason that I think they'll do it.
I'm still on the fence about that whole thought, because I don't know, we're not even really at the point yet where 1080p 60 FPS is like a standard. Like, it's
I also
the
don't think I
standard.
know anyone who owns a 4K TV.
I don't.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is it's really tough, because in the industry that we work in, sometimes it can be tough to really get a sense of what the regular just middle of the country Kansas gamer is thinking, right? Like, I really think 99% of the gamers out there don't even know or care about 4K.
I agree with
that's
that.
totally not the point. The point is that if there is one console that has it and another console that doesn't, people are going to jump on it. Even if they don't care about 4K, but my PS4 can run in 4K, your Xbox can't.
It's a talking
It's a
point.
fanboy
Yeah.
thing, and it's
Yeah.
a marketing thing, and it's a thing that people, even if they don't know what the specs even mean, are going to use to attack.
And also,
Xbox.
the 1080-60 thing not being across the board is predominantly because both pieces of hardware are underpowered compared to PC.
Yeah.
Like, most games can run that on PC just fine.
Sure.
On
See,
a
and I
super
mean-
crazy PC.
And that's kind of my point, is I think, I don't know, when PS4.5 or whatever had that more solidified rumor coming out and most of the industry was talking about it, a lot of those people who are that hardcore fan base had a pretty ambivalent response to it. They
more of a negative reaction.
yeah,
in fact.
again, they're kind of, at least like at a cursory glance from my perspective, seems like a lot of people seem to be on my side. Like they don't like the idea of upgraded consoles.
including
I feel like probably everyone in this room is kind
Right.
of on your
So
side.
my point is like I think Microsoft sits in the boardroom and they say, okay, so PS 4.5 or might be a real thing. It might be able to do 4K, and if it does, there will be this small loyal fan base of people who are like gung ho about that being like a huge upgrade advantage. But when you look at the big market, most people don't care, and so why don't we just double down on our console having great games that whether or not they're 4K or
It's not
1080p still look good.
You're saying
but I mean, I
it's
think
funny.
it is.
It's like
you
them
know?
walking into a conference and being like, they have this, we have nothing.
But it's not that they don't have nothing.
No,
right?
but that's how people are going to see that, you know?
Well, that's how some, like a very small
think a
people
lot.
will see it.
It's funny, Sean. You're saying almost exactly. I went on Gamertag Radio this week, which is another great Xbox podcast that's been running for years. It airs. I think they told me it goes up on Thursday, so probably by the time you hear this, I was saying about exactly the same thing. Where I could see Microsoft taking the strategy of we're gonna put out a Slim that looks new but is the same inside. That's $200. You know, we're going to drive the price down.
That could work.
And bank on their, I think, killer
Their
lineup
game
of
library,
games.
yeah.
Because I still think, and again, I don't want to turn this, I don't want this to be taken as a fanboy war thing. I personally think the Xbox One first party lineup is much more interesting than Sony's current first party lineup. Just taken. So if you just say the things that are exclusive to our console we think are great, you know, whether it's Cuphead or Inside or Sea of Thieves or Gears 4, Halo Wars 2, all this stuff, say we're gonna make it look new by having a Slim. We're gonna make it wait. You know, the other guys, Sony with the Neo is gonna be their price is going up to $400 with this Neo. We're going to go the other way.
Exactly.
Put a shiny new coat of paint on it, make it smaller, and say we're gonna just go with being a super affordable games machine with a great lineup.
Yeah,
on it.
so I see two options. There's them competing directly, or there's them marketing against it. So there's them being like, we don't want to split our audience.
But
We don't
yeah.
want to do that. Like, I feel like they're going to present it that way.
Also,
They might.
but what if
That's what
Microsoft
PS4
doesn't? If Microsoft doesn't do this, and at the Sony conference they unveil the Neo, and we get a God of War 4 or Horizon Zero Dawn demo in 4K, as someone who saw a game that I can talk about running in 4K a little while ago, and I know that's really dumb to do on a podcast, it was the best looking thing I've ever seen in my life, and it sold me on the idea of a 4K system.
That's
so
fair.
If the demo, everyone comes out of E3 talking about that one Sony demo
Yeah.
that looks so far above and beyond anything we've seen
Right.
before in gaming. Like, I don't know if a $200 console and a super solid first party lineup is enough.
I mean,
and yeah.
maybe it's not, but here's the thing: is like I think like strategically, you kind
The
of
thing you're talking about, to be clear, just so nobody twist this, it wasn't a Neo thing. It was.
Oh, no, it wasn't a Neo
Neo
thing. It was a tech
PC
demo.
thing.
It was running on a PC.
A
Yes,
PC
yes,
thing.
absolutely.
I mean, that's the thing is like 4K gaming exists. It's out there. It's on PCs mostly right now. But it's not something that's actually new to games right now, right? It would be new to consoles. I think if you're a console maker like Microsoft and Sony, or you have a stake in that market, I think from Microsoft's perspective, you stay the course because you already lost the battle on the tech front, right? From the get-go, your console was on paper less powerful than the PS4. So to try and make that ground up later, 2 years into the console cycle, that seems like an exercise in futility, right? Like I think you stay the course. Like what has made Microsoft successful in the years past, like in the year or two since it
I mean, the
launched?
Xbox 360 was the lineup for sure.
Sure,
Well-
but what I mean is like I'm talking about PS4 and Xbox One. Like right out of the gate, PS4 took a huge lead, but Microsoft's closed that gap. What have we done?
No,
to
they haven't.
No, they haven't really.
No, but I mean like you're right. They turned the ship around. Is what I mean. Like
They improved.
Yeah, like they stumbled at the get-go, but since Phil Spencer's taken hold, like the messaging has been a lot clearer. Gamers have been a lot more on board.
The services are better.
Services are
Everything's
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I say you double down on that, like stay the course. Do what you've been doing because it's been working, as opposed to trying to compete on a front that you lost on.
It's interesting you phrase it that way because that's almost when the roles were reversed last generation, where the PS3 was this had stumbled out of the gate with a high price and all sorts of other dumb things, and Xbox 360 got out to this huge lead. How did PS3 what was their strategy, and look how it worked. And their strategy was they just they focused on having a killer first-party lineup of things like from Heavy Rain to Uncharted to The Last of Us.
One of the
God of
best
War.
games.
The second half of the last generation for PS3's first party was there weren't necessarily like huge tentpole hits, but it was a bunch of really, really good exclusive games. And I almost wonder if that's where Phil is heading with all these things. Because, like, let's be honest. I mean, Sea of Thieves maybe could take off if it is a really good game. But, Halo Wars 2 is probably not going to light the world on fire sales-wise. Forza Horizon 3, the series always does well. Cuphead, Inside, Recore. These probably aren't going to be like 10 million selling games, but if Phil just decides, you know what, I'm going to just focus on, I'm going to get all my fans back that may have defected by putting out a great lineup.
I mean, I feel like they largely have done that.
They have.
Past
I
year.
totally agree.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of meant by closing the gap. Is like, as an Xbox fan, like, I don't feel alienated at all. And I don't feel like, people are quick to say that we or the press in general has like a slant towards PS4 or towards Xbox, depending on the day. We're accused of being pro whatever console, and that's total nonsense. But I think like in the end, all we really want is a lot of good games, and as an Xbox fan, I feel like I've gotten a lot of that.
Absolutely.
And so like if you're, I don't know, the other thing is you don't have to look at console, like Microsoft doesn't, you always care about sales, but like Microsoft isn't just the Xbox division. The sales of Xbox, whether they're through the roof and beating PS4 or non-existent like the Wii U, has like this much of an effect on Microsoft's total business, So it's not as if like that's a huge priority for them.
I don't
think
know.
they're more
the
focused on
Xbox
providing good services.
Is a pretty significant part of the Microsoft business. Just like, you look at Sony, the PS4 is the rock star of that business because like their TV division has been struggling for a while.
Should tell you something about Sony.
They also have like speakers and
so there's a
fridges.
Sony has movie studios.
two sides to the coin. Yeah, there are two sides to the coin there for both of them, but it's gonna be really interesting to see.
I'm actually kind of excited. Like I feel like a lot of most recent conferences I've gone in knowing a lot of things, and I really have no idea what they're going to do this year. And I look forward to it.
Yeah, I think for sure we're going to see what Sea of Thieves really is.
I'm very excited about that.
Me too. We're going to see what Recore really is. We literally don't even know what Recore is.
But even based on what we have seen, like both of those games, I'm already going to play them. Just based on the small things we've seen, I'm like,
small
I'm sold.
tone piece trailers.
Yep.
Everything
I
is an
love,
open world
the tonal
RPG.
We
recall.
don't know anything
Cinematic
about Halo Wars 2 other than we assume it's a strategy game
Yeah.
because it's a sequel to a Halo strategy game.
Safe assumption.
Forza Horizon 3.
Do we even know what genre Recore is yet?
That's what I was trying to
literally
say earlier.
nothing,
We
right?
genuinely
Literally
don't know what it
nothing.
is.
It's a dog robot simulator.
Yeah.
Sold.
Sci-fi.
Again, it was already sold. No, I'm more sold.
I'm really excited to actually find out what those games are that I was so fired up about at last year's E3. Yep. I think this has the chance to be. I think this has a chance to be a historically great Xbox E3 press conference.
Yeah.
I really, truly do.
As long as they announce backwards compatibility.
Okay.
They already
Again.
did.
To
How about-
Xbox.
Yeah, original Xbox
Yeah.
backwards compatibility. Wouldn't that be cool if they just
Fusion Frenzy.
if they made the entire
Loss.
because those games are so old and half those publishers are out of business, like the Majescos of the world. I guess they're not out of business, but they're out of the major game space. It'd be cool. Here's a dream scenario for E3 before we move on. Microsoft says, okay, we heard you. We're doing original Xbox backwards compatibility, but what we're actually doing is our first party original Xbox catalog is just
Ooh.
free.
That'd be real cool.
We're just porting download whatever you want.
That would be
man.
awesome.
Have fun.
See, that's the type of thing
Halo,
where, like,
Fable 1.
as a fan, and maybe I'm a little biased here being an Xbox fan, but that's the type of announcement that, in my mind, far dwarfs, oh, by the way, this new console can do 4K, but it's going to be gimped 4K because we know how powerful these consoles are, and they are not PCs. Like, that's the type of announcement that I love that way more than the 4K announcement, a potential 4K announcement.
Something you can actually use. Is
I
what
get
you're
your
saying.
perspective,
Yeah.
but I think the internet will disagree.
Totally. They always
Oh.
want the next new thing.
I could care less about that. Like, everyone knows that about me. Disagree with me all you want. I don't care. But,
Direct your hate mail to @ShotByFinnegan.
yeah. I mean, people have gotten on my case about upgraded consoles being the future. Even people here, like Mike Oransky.
We did have some people tweet me about our previous discussions on this podcast and be like, I don't know how you got a job in the industry, you idiot. Like, I don't remember what I said.
They just be like, I don't remember how I got a
don't
job doing
I don't
this
remember what
either.
I said at all.
But I'm here.
sorry.
Yeah.